Hello. Hi. So we're very pleased to be here at Oud Talks with Lujain Ljna'i, Corporate Communications Manager at Gulf Bank. And we're really honored and pleased to be discussing such an important topic, which is sustainability in fashion. Now, as we were preparing for this talk, we went through the term sustainability in fashion and kind of started deconstructing the different elements that go into it. Processes, production, material, and all that falls under sustainability in fashion. And then I realized that, as we were going through the thought process, all of these terminologies and terms were all in English. And this is when I realized that, the full thought process and terms and whatnot were all in English, and that when I started trying to translate them in Arabic, I found that these terms were quite immature. So it was quite obvious that we do have an underlying problem, let's say in Kuwait and the region, in the sense that terminology in Arabic when it comes to sustainability in fashion or fashion in general is quite immature and not there yet. So this is when I gave Lujain a quick call, and she very kindly agreed to have this conversation in Arabic. So I apologize for all of our English speakers, but the rest of this conversation is going to continue in Arabic. It's for the cause, I assure you. And I would very kindly have provided instant translation, if I'm not mistaken. Or we can sum it up later on in English.
I'm going to try my best to be bilingual.
Okay, that's great from Lujain.
Right.
Okay, so Lujain شلونك؟
الحمد لله بخير لولو.
Very happy إن إحنا مع بعض الحين.
Finally, yes, we met. Thanks سعود.
لازم نقلب بالعربي الحين.
إن شاء الله.
So Lujain, أول شيء يعني إحنا كلنا ندري بالكويت و I'm sure بالمنطقة إن Gulf Bank أو بنك الخليج عنده يعني قاعد ياخذ خطوات جدا كبيرة حق موضوع الاستدامة بالمجتمع بشكل عام. كنا حابين بس نعرف أكثر منك عن خطوات بنك الخليج، وشنو الأشياء اللي بديتوا تشتغلون عليها يعني من خلال موضوع الاستدامة بالآونة الأخيرة. إذا تقدرين تعرفين أكثر عن هالموضوع.
إن شاء الله. مشكورة لولو على السؤال. احنا نفتخر ببنك الخليج ان اطلقنا اول تقرير استدامة اللي هو our very first sustainability report في سنة 2020 in 2020. وتقرير الاستدامة يشمل كل إنجازاتنا اللي قدمناها للبيئة والمجتمع والاقتصاد كذلك. عندنا كثير من الإنجازات اللي سويناها في بنك الخليج اللي احنا نعتز ونفتخر فيها. طبعا بخصوص يعني إذا بتكلم عن المجتمع، عندنا أكبر حدث رياضي على مستوى الكويت اللي هو الماراثون، Gulf Bank's ماراثون، اللي فيه تقريبا أكثر من 8000 مشارك. بنك الخليج من الأوائل اللي وقعوا مع ال WEPs اللي هم Women Empowerment Principles من الأمم المتحدة، اللي يشمل اللي هو المساومة بين المرأة والرجل. تقريبا عندنا أكثر من 40% موظفات نساء بالبنك، 30% منهم في مناصب القيادية اللي احنا نفتخر بهالعدد، تقريبا الأعلى على مستوى البنوك في الكويت. هذا بما يخص المجتمع. طبعا عندنا أكثر وأكثر، بس راح أطول إذا بتكلم عن كل إنجازاتنا. طبعا إذا بنتحكي عن الاقتصاد، بنك الخليج يدعم اللي هم المشاريع المتوسطة والصغيرة. Financial or not financial, we have numerous of services. عندنا خدمات عديدة اللي تدعم المشاريع الصغيرة والمتوسطة. عندنا هم financial literacy، نهتم بهالأمور وايد، لأن we just launched اللي هو بودكاست مع مختص بالاقتصاد عندنا أستاذ طارق صالح، يتكلم فيه طبعا يقابل entrepreneurs، أصحاب مشاريع بالكويت، كويتيين وصلوا، ونخلي هذا الشيء يخلي الشباب يتعلمون أكثر ويتثقفون من ناحية شلون إن شاء الله في المستقبل يصيرون future entrepreneurs يعني.
لجين تطرقتي حق مفاهيم وايد حلوة إنزين. الاستدامة هي يعني طبعا المفهوم الأساسي inclusivity اللي هي الشمولية لما تكلمتي عن المساواة بين الرجل والمرأة والخطوات اللي خذيتوهم. بالإضافة حق هالشيء بشكل خاص إذا تقدرين تحدثينا عن الاستدامة في الموضة وأنتوا اهتمامكم يعني مبادرة مثل هالمبادرة، وليش قررتوا تدعمون هالمبادرة؟
إن شاء الله. إحنا بشكل عام طبعاً الاستدامة بشكل عام موضوع وايد كبير، بس إحنا قررنا إن إحنا نهتم أو نركز على أي فعالية تخص الاستدامة. من ناحية اللي هي استدامة الموضة، إحنا برأينا إنها هي تخص البيئة وتعطي هال-environmental awareness في المجتمع. وهذا اللي إحنا نسعى له طبعاً، لأن تدرون الاستدامة وتقرير الاستدامة عندنا في البنك هي مو بس مجرد كلمة، يعني هو it's a commitment that we need to take، لأن إحنا اللي هو تقرير الاستدامة is 100% compliant مع ال Global Reporting Initiative، و we're also aligned with the SDGs اللي هم Sustainability Development Goals اللي هم أهداف الاستدامة من الأمم المتحدة اللي حددتها الأمم المتحدة. فهذه الفعالية طبعاً thanks to عود.com. عود Fashion Talks is extremely important من ناحية إنه خلق environmental awareness خصوصاً في الكويت. وبالنسبة لنا هم تدعم الشابات والشباب الكويتيين المصممين أو المصممات إنهم يوصلون للعالمية. Learning from the experts. يعني أنا اليوم جيت مبكر لحقت على a couple of speakers ما شاء الله عليهم، يعني all their speeches were extremely helpful، وإن شاء الله نود إن يعني هذا الموضوع يفيد المصممين والمصممات عندنا بالكويت.
يمكن أنت جاوبتي سؤالي الأخير شوية، بس إذا برجع أسألك إياه مرة ثانية، شنو التغيير اللي يبي يشوفه بنك الخليج من ناحية الاستدامة بالمجتمع؟
إحنا ببنك الخليج ودنا طبعاً هذا الشيء اللي نسعى له، أن نخلق بيئة صحية جيدة مو بس لنا، حق الأجيال القادمة.
wonderful. يعني موضوع الاستدامة جدا جدا مهم، واعتقد مثل ما تفضلتي لجين الواحد لازم ياخذه من مجالات ويعني اوجه عدة على اساس انه يقدر يوصل ويحدث التغيير اللي نطمح له كلنا. انزين، انتوا بدوركم كبنك، احنا بدورنا يمكن مجموعة التمدين كأحد المؤسسات اللي تطور المشاريع، وبالاخص شوبينج مولز او مراكز التسوق، وكذلك دور الافراد جدا جدا مهم، وان شاء الله اذا قدرنا نحط ايدنا بايد بعض راح نحدث التغيير النبيل
ان شاء الله.
شكرا.
This is just the first step، وحابه اشكر كل البارتيسيبنتس، تمدين، عود فاشن توكس، all the sponsors, all the participants. Thank you very much.
مشكوره لجين.
شكرا.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Slippery stage, hence the tentative approaches up and down. I hope everyone had a fantastic lunch. What a beautiful setting. I've been hearing all about the restaurants here, so I hope you will manage to take advantage of that. Welcome back for the afternoon session of Oud Fashion Talks. Thanks, ladies from Gulf Bank, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction to all the initiatives that you're doing. Thank you so very much. Great to hear from you. So here we are for the afternoon. 3 more sessions for you from some fantastic speakers heading your way. I hope everyone had a wonderful morning. I feel like I learned so much and was really touched by some of the stories that were shared. So thank you so much to everyone for sharing your stories with us here today in Kuwait. We've just been hearing how important sustainability is, and it was a message that underpinned all of the talks this morning, and I know is so crucial to anyone looking for a future in the fashion industry. If you're as old as me, you maybe don't have that relevancy, but if you're looking to attract a younger clientele, it is the first thing they're looking for. So it is 100% the future, and any business that hasn't taken that on board or isn't building it into their principles is honestly really not going to survive. And I think someone who is better placed than many people in the region to tell us about this is the wonderful Florence Boulté. Florence is the Chief Sustainability Officer at Chalhoub Group. Chalhoub Group, which of course has its roots proudly here in Kuwait. In her current role, Florence is responsible for fostering a culture of business ethics and integrity for the group by developing and sharing the code of ethics, creating training programs for employees, as well as monitoring and auditing the ethics compliance framework. Big job, Florence. She also drives transformational change for people in the company, protecting the environment, promoting sustainability through advocacy and partnerships, and engaging employees to give back. Florence, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
And good afternoon, everyone.
So, Florence, I'm sure many people here in Kuwait, it is home territory for Chalhoub Group, are well aware of Chalhoub. But for those of us who don't know, please give us a quick overview of the Chalhoub Group and its footprint in the region, specifically here in Kuwait, if you can.
For sure. So in the region, I mean, so far we are employing 13,000 people. Over 8,000 people are frontliners. We have 680 stores, mainly in the Gulf region, 108 nationality, and it's important for me because taking care of the diversity and inclusion, it's important. We are retailing and distributing over 300 brands, luxury brands, and we have over 20 global joint ventures. So Kuwait is very special for us, and I know our president, Patrick Chalhoub, wanted to be here today because we moved our head offices in Kuwait in 1975, and we opened our first store, the very first store in Salria Mall, which is called Tanagra, and still here and operating. And then we opened the Louis Vuitton store in Salria as well in 1982, and it started from there. So Kuwait holds a very special place for us, and now we have over 1,000 people working in Kuwait. Again, majority are frontliners. We have over 65 stores in beauty, fashion, and homeware. 26 nationalities. Again, I'm insisting on that. And I think it's also very special for us because it has been extremely dynamic, especially the last 2 years. I mean, after COVID, we had a growth of 41%. So that's huge, and we are planning to have a double-digit growth. So we are really have our eyes on Kuwait.
Sorry, reverse that. Just say that one again. The growth, Florence, was
41%.
41%.
41
in Kuwait.
Yeah. From 2020 to 21. So, and this year we are planning also a double-digit growth. Because we are introducing new brands, just to give you an idea, the last 2 years we've introduced 12 new brands in Kuwait. Opening, I think the plan is to open 10 stores in the coming year or 2 years, and entering new malls. Like now we're looking at entering 4 new malls in Kuwait. So just to give you an overview of how dynamic Kuwait is for us.
That's an incredible rate of growth. And your top line number on employees, 13,000.
Yeah.
So just to give a sense of the scale of the business, 13,000 employees. So when it comes to sustainability and all its guises, that's a huge operation to get your head around. I think let's take a step back and say, what is sustainability? Big question. What does the term encompass? Because it's not just recyclable material. We all know that.
I mean, I can give you the UN definition, which is easy to it's catering for the needs of today without the depletion of the resources of the next generation. And if you care about your children, if you care about the next generation, obviously you want to do that. And we are very bad at that because in 2021, I think the Earthshoot Day was 5th of July, meaning that 5th of July, the Earth had already produced what it can for the needs of the people. So 6th of July, we started to overproduce. So we are completely depleting the natural resources of the Earth. So when you bring it back to, let's say, a business environment, and Lujane, I think before was mentioning the UNGC, United Nations Global Compact, to which we all remember, they wanted to put a structure, like what is sustainability and how can a company help? Because it's not only the states who can help, it's a collective effort, individual companies, government. And they came up with the 17 SDGs, the 10 principles, so which are mainly focusing on labor rights, human rights, anti-corruption, transparency, protection of the environment. And they gave a structure of KPIs for companies to follow and to adhere to and put targets against, so that it was easier to understand what sustainability is and how they could put in place strategies and KPIs to achieve a sustainable business.
And take us through some of the key ones that we should think about, because obviously carbon emissions might come to mind initially, but sustainability can go everything through to workers' rights and maternity rights. And
Alors, what we need to consider is always your scope. Like for us, we are retailer and distributor of brands that we may not own. So it means that we may distribute and retail Louis Vuitton, but we don't have any control on the how the products are produced, etc. We're lucky enough that these brands are very aware and conscious and doing well. But so we always try to manage what is under our scope. So for us, when we developed our strategy, first we aligned with the 2030 agenda of the UNGC, so what I was mentioning before. Second, we aligned with what is relevant for us as a retailer and a distributor, so everything linked to mall operations, any protection of the environment linked to our operation is important for us. And to our industry, so the fashion industry. So for us, we have three main pillars: environment, where we focusing on renewable energy. How can we shift? How can we equip our warehouses, our head offices with solar panel, which I think also it's an area of focus here in Kuwait by the government. How can we decrease the natural resources? Because it starts with the consumption. Like first, ask yourself, how can I decrease my consumption? So for a company, it means a lot of investments in technologies, in innovation. So to achieve to have this intelligence to have the proper equipment. Of course, waste. I mean, waste. We spoke a lot about waste this morning. So how do you? I'm not going to speak about producing the product because we don't, but how do you buy better? How do you make sure that what you buy is going to be sold and you don't buy more that you should? Then we have put in place, so as I was saying, 680 stores in the region. So we came up with some way to assess the sustainability and the carbon footprint of each and every stores. And for the stores who are not performing or not, achieving the rank we want, we are rethinking the store. How can we improve, let's say, the lighting, the material, whatever we use, which could reduce the carbon footprint. So environment is a huge point of focus for us, and today, I mean, this year, hopefully, we'll be able to commit to the net zero by 2040. So I know a lot of people are speaking about it. So basically, it's to pledge for the 1.5 degrees that the UN has, communicated. So how can we reduce collectively our carbon footprints in order not to go over this 1.5 degrees? So that's a huge project for us this year. Otherwise, I mean, people. People is again very important for us. With 13,000 people, we make sure that we have. I mean, diversity is by default because we have 108 nationalities. But the difficulty comes when how do you integrate them? How do you include them? How do you make sure that whatever we do, even when you were talking, because I'm taking care of ethics as well, how do you make sure that it's understood by 108 nationalities and different cultures? So on this diversity and inclusion, we have 2 points of focus. So gender parity and the inclusion of people with disabilities. But I'll let you ask questions because I can go over on
that's super helpful. I actually just want to play devil's advocate for a moment and take a step back and say, why should we care? We see the likes of Shein in China with these incredible valuations, fast fashion. Sometimes it's hard to believe that consumers do care about sustainability. We like to hope that they do, but then we are still addicted to this disposable fast fashion flying around the world, getting sent back around the world. As a commercial business, how hard is it to take a step back and say, no, that's not the future?
And again, I was saying it's a collective effort, and it cannot work if it's only, the will of the government, through regulations, for example, or if it's only the will of the private sector like us, or if it's only the will of the customers. So for it to work, I mean, why should we care? It's because if you care about the next generation, if you care about your children, I mean, you want them to have the same resources as you do. It's and for the longevity of the humankind, I would say. It's not even the nature, because nature will survive no matter what, but it's more the humankind. So to this point, I mean, if you're not that idealist and you want to bring it back to, to practical things, it has a lot of business sense. Being sustainable and investing into environment has got a return on investment. I'll give you an example. We have 4 sites now equipped with solar panel in Dubai, and it allowed us to save 30% of our financial bill on a monthly basis. So it's it's good for the environment. Same for our stores when we equip them with a system and tools which is allowing us to reduce our natural resources consumption, like electricity, water. It's reducing your electricity bills, etc. Smart printers, very small things. Smart printers. We started to implement smart printers everywhere in the offices. We cut down our consumption of paper by 50% in 1 year. So it has a business sense. So that's for the environment. For the people, well, you want to be able to retain your employee, and you want them to thrive into what they're doing. So if you don't create an inclusive environment, people would leave, and it will be extremely costly for the company to always recruit and start the projects from scratch, etc. Customers. As you were saying, customers now, the new generation is extremely aware. And if you don't provide products which are, let's say, if you cannot prove that they have been made sustainably, but then we can enter into the debate. What does it mean? What's the level you want? But they will just, shift to another brand. So it's adding trust and credibility to the brands.
Do you think customers are getting more savvy or more demanding? And it's quite relatively easy to put sustainable on a product, but to actually back up those claims?
It's a very good question because, to be honest, especially in the luxury industry, studies prove that they care, but they assume also a lot of things. So, for example, they would assume that Louis Vuitton is following the strategy, achieving the targets and everything. So it's more an assumption. So they don't really go into the details of checking what is actually done, and that's why I think what Imran was saying this morning was quite highlighting, because creating this index makes a lot of sense. And plus, when you talk about luxury, let's say if I'm a Louis Vuitton, customer, it would be hard for me to shift to another brand, because I like where do you let go of, even if the brand is not completely sustainable. So. But I want to believe that that's what we see, that the youth are more aware. I'm just hoping it's not going to be a trend as well. It has to, it has to live, and we speak about fashion, but in beauty as well, we see the same thing. Like we have a project about this clean beauty, where we're trying to have in the Middle East clean beauty brands. So from A to Z, have a traceability of the products, the ingredients, how it's made, making sure the whole value chain is controlled. But where are the customers? So we have customers, but do we have enough to sustain these brands in the Middle East? So our responsibility as a retailer is to build education and awareness, being advocates, participate to platform and forum where you can defend in a way or explain why it's important.
Yeah, and the role of the retailer, particularly in the region, is obviously changing and evolving, and was sped up by the pandemic in terms of the shift to e-com. I know that obviously Chalhoub is still opening bricks and mortar stores, but you're also massively ramping e-com constantly, from what I understand. What repercussions does that digital economy have for the climate? Because there are boxes whizzing around the world. Next day they're whizzing back around the world.
Yeah.
How do we combat that?
Exactly, and it's so for us we have 60 e-commerce websites and apps. So it's really an issue that we are tackling. Plus, from what you were just saying, again, we have studies proving that 30% of what is bought on e-commerce online is returned. And more than half of these products cannot be resold. So what do you do with these products? So that's another thing we are looking at. How can you buy better? And how can you no need to buy more, because you know that 30% is going to come back to you. Then how do you deal with the packaging? And for us as a retailer, it's all the more complicated, because we need to open a dialogue with the brands. Let's say Sephora, because that's actually what we're doing. Sephora, how can we make sure that we optimize the packaging, and how do we make sure that this packaging is recyclable, reusable, etc. So, and that's why one of the key words here is partnership, especially in our position in Chalhoub, because we don't own the brand. So everything goes through, speaking with people, partnering, seeing the financial impact also on things, and see the sustainability impact, the impact on the environment, on the carbon footprint.
Yeah, collaboration and partnership.
Collaboration, for
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose always having it front of mind, whatever you do, is always being aware of the impact that it's having on natural resources.
And I think also what we're facing is, because, and especially I know there's some young startups and designers, it's how can you convince people that it's a priority? Like when you have a business, when you're starting a business, how can you make sure that, you put it as a priority? Because it might not be your first priority.
Yeah. We know that fashion as an industry globally is unfortunately a very large polluter, a big contributor to that. I was just wondering when you look at the Gulf specifically, we have unique challenges here. We're sitting here in very strong air conditioning that we require for most of the year. There's obviously a lot of freight, a lot of logistics. We're not manufacturing locally yet. Again, I'm going to put another yet in there, because I am hoping that changes. What challenges are unique to this region?
I mean, they would be the same as overall. I mean, we know that the fashion industry is the second consumers of water, and water is a huge issue here in the region. But I mean, the first advice would be, and I've heard this, and seeing the young designers displayed here, first advice would be localization. Work with what you have. Like one of the designers is working with a textile which are already available. I mean, you need to be creative, innovative, but. And same, how do you sell these products? Like, so you have to consider all the value chain, but the problem here are the same as everywhere, except the fact that you're right, we're not producing locally yet, and it's a must. It's an absolute necessity.
Yeah, I hope so. Now, this is perhaps something that we can all identify with a bit closer. So when we start looking at the circular economy, I can't help you with putting solar panels on the roof of your warehouses, but I can certainly be a potential customer for resale, for rental, for repair. How is the Chalhoub Group going to bring those notions of building a circular economy when at heart your business is selling clothes? So it's a bit of a mind shift to try and rent them. If suddenly I say, I'm only going to pay you 10% of the value of that dress, how do you as a commercial business build that in?
It's a mind shift that both we need to have and the customer needs to have. So now we are studying new business models, so resell, like that we're going to start hopefully this year. Renting, like we have a brand called Christophe. It's a French brand, silverware. We are studying concepts of renting, because when you think silverware, I mean, we're not using silverware every day so when you want to cater for a dinner, special occasion, etc., why would you buy the full set? So we are it's done already in France. I mean, it's but we are starting to introduce it here. And the main thing we are working on in parallel is education. Like, so I know in Dubai the market is quite open for it, but we need to put this concept to light in the mind of the customers as well, and they need to be ready to adhere to it as well.
Yeah. Is fashion rental on the agenda?
We tried because we have an incubator internally called Iptikar, and it's something which is open to our team members, where when we see an idea with potential, we support financially and help incubating the brand. So we have a team member who tried and who failed. So far it's but it is a possibility. So we're learning the outcome and why the failure came. But yes, it's a consideration.
Yeah, it is a fascinating area. Would anyone here consider renting fashion or accessories? Hands up if you would. Yeah. And hands up if you absolutely would not. You wouldn't consider renting. Slightly more for wood, and I think that would have been different 2 years ago. But it'll be really interesting to see how that develops in the coming years. Obviously, it's very dominant in the States and increasingly in Europe as well. Yeah. So it's not without its own challenges, because dry cleaning is a huge pollutant as well, if I'm not wrong.
And repair. We have so level shoes. It's a shoe concept that we have in Dubai. We have a cobbler, and repairing is extremely important. Why would you buy another pair of shoes, if the one you have can be repaired? So just try to fix it before you dispose of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one more, and then I will open the floor to questions. We've spoken a lot about product and about carbon footprint. On the people side of things, I'd like to drill down on what Chalhoub does around diversity. We spoke about people of determination, your policy around women and female retention. Talk to me about how you bring people into your sustainability efforts.
Very interesting question. So we have Farah here, who is in charge of our team engagement part. What we do, so for the employee engagement, we have three main pillars, which is based on our CSR strategy, but on environment, protection of environment and education. And what we do, we organize a lot of initiatives. So to give you an idea, we may have like 290 initiatives a year, so it's almost one every day, where we invite our people, but not only our team members, their family also, because they can come with the kids and the kids can learn, and very simple things like for protection of environment, we do beach cleaning, tea planting, all these very practical things which are very gratifying and which help changing the mindset of people. We have at a group level around, I would say, 30% of our team who are engaged every year on our activities. So it's a lot of, again, education, awareness, and making them experience, making them feel what it's like.
And diversity, how does Chalhoub Group tackle diversity?
So diversity by default, so we are diverse, in some countries more than other, but again, I've got a business background, so for me it's all about figures. So what we do, we try to, we quantify. So we've put some internal software in place, which are allowing us to see how diversity is our team, but on a business unit level. So we have some dashboards which we are issuing every quarter, and which we ask the people partner to review with the GM of the business unit. So that's a way to track and monitor what is done. Then we change our policies, we change our language, we do a lot. We have a platform called Chalhoub University where we have online training for our people. So we develop diversity and inclusion training, unconscious bias, culture sensitivity training. Another tool which was quite helpful is to become a member of WEP. So WEP is the Women Empowerment Principle. It's a joint initiative between UNGC and UN Women. But what it does really, it gives us like 8 KPIs about diversity and inclusion that we have to respect. So for example, like how diverse is your supply chain? Like, do you employ, do you have women at the head of a company in your supply chain? All these type of criteria. And so programs, Women in Leadership program, because as we have a very fair representation of male and female, but when it comes to the senior management, we have only 25% of women. And we want to build up this new generation of female leaders. So we started this year, we've completed the first cohort of women to prepare them to take some leadership position. When it comes to people with disabilities, same. Like we changed our policies. We made sure our recruitment was done in a way to welcome people with disabilities. Worked with some agencies because it's also the access which is can be difficult. Training, internal training, because even if you recruit a person with disabilities, you need to retain this person, and depending on the type of disability, if it's physical, it's okay, but sometimes it's person can be autistic, and so how do you retain the person? I'm happy to say, and we will have a pilot test here in Kuwait. We are going to equip our store. So speaking about technology, with hearing loops, to allow our customers with hearing issues to be able to hear, and also we are going to introduce sensory hours in our shops. In the region and here in Kuwait. So
what does that look like?
So it's to make people understand how it feels when you have to include people with special needs more. So you would have no noise, no music, softer lights for 1 hour in our shop, you know, to make our other customers feel and be wary of people with special needs.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great initiative.
Yeah. It's education and awareness.
Yeah. Amazing. And I know people are at the heart of the Shaloub group, so congratulations on all the efforts that you do to respect people and to make everyone feel valued. It's such an important part of any organization. Sure. Thank you, Florence. Thank you so much for sharing an overview of what is an enormous topic. I'm sure you will all agree. If anyone has any questions, because I appreciate it's a giant topic and it means something different to everyone in here coming from different perspectives, could we have a microphone to the front row, please?
Hi, Florence. How are you?
Again.
I hear a lot of like big conglomerates and big companies preaching sustainability or moving towards the sustainability angles. Like recently, especially in fashion, like recently Caring Group and not LVMH, but Caring Group mostly are saying they're gonna stop producing fur and they're gonna stop producing exotic leather and etc. So, but where I come from or what I know about like unreal fur or vegan fur, as they say, it's more harmful for the environment and it's less sustainable than real fur. So in this specific topic, in exotic leathers and real fur, I want to know your opinion and your take on that.
I mean, again, so my opinion as a Shaloub, I mean, we are not into producing, but you know, when we were saying, and I think it was Imran who was saying it this morning, you need to start from the very beginning. So if you invest a lot of money in R&D to come up with this new material who is supposed to replace the real fur, but if at the end you need to go down the line and see, okay, it's going to be sold, it's going to be used, and then what's happening? How can I recycle it? You know, and so at that time of producing and coming up with this new material, you need to go down the line and see how this product is going to be, you know, recycled. Is it going to end on the landfill? I mean, 69% of the material we used are synthetic. So meaning that, you know, when you try to recycle them, and that's one of our main issues, you cannot differentiate the fibers. And so if you cannot, we don't have the technology or it's very rare, so it's ending up in the landfill. So when you invest a lot of money in R&D, just make sure that you're closing the loop of circularity, you know?
Yes, shades of grey. I think no choice is perfect. You know, Reformation, the LA label, you know, Asma, and their tagline is that the most sustainable choice is being naked. But of course, it's not ideal. it's not entirely practical.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's almost about making the least bad choice and being conscious, being thoughtful, and thinking about everything that you buy and consume and use, and looking forward, projecting forward to the end of its life and what is going to happen to that piece. Thank you, Asma. Would anyone else like to ask Florence anything? Thank you so much. Microphone to the third row, please. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the time. Well, I have a question regarding, you mentioned about the idea of renting clothes and jewelry incubator, and I would like to know why it fails, like what were the main, let's say, things that makes the idea to fail and not get up.
Sure. I think if I remember, it was 2 years ago. I think it was about the choice. Like the catalog was not big enough. Again, it's a startup, so it's a cash 22. You need to have the cash to invest into it, and so this is for sure. And then I think the market was not ready for it. You know, as we've seen, like and I'm surprised actually. I would have thought that more people wouldn't rent or wouldn't. But yeah, I think so. If in our case, in this case, it was both. It's the range of the catalog was not wide enough, and the market was not ready yet. And that's why we have a huge role to play in education.
Yes, I completely agree about the education part.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Florence. Would anyone, yes, one more here, and then we will have a very short break before we return. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you very much for your talk. It's an eye-opening. My question, I have a background in environment and botany. So my question is, as an environmentalist myself, I would really think more about the sustainability, of course. But my question is, as a retailer yourself, I know that you cannot impose your values, for example, to make all, let's say, LV to transfer to something more environmentally sustainable. But can you at least discuss the idea with,
Of course.
yeah, in the future they can reduce the, let's say, carbon emission, using of the leather, of course, natural leather and stuff like that.
Of course. No, and that's why I'm saying its partnership is extremely important. Like I'm in constant. Last week I was in discussion with Chanel in our offices to try and find a correct provider, because Chanel, for example, has got an extremely strict rule when it comes to recycle, and they need to have a complete transparency on how it is recycled and have the certificate. And to be honest, in the UAE, it's something that we don't have yet. So we have providers, but they wouldn't, go down the line on really giving you exactly how it has been recycled. And our issue was that some of the stock was sent to Indonesia, and we know there's a lot of landfill in Indonesia. So and we didn't have any visibility on where these broken items were going. And as a brand, they needed to have a complete transparency. So of course we are in a very close relationship. I was talking about Sephora for the packaging. L'Occitane, for example, we've discussed with them. We've introduced in Saudi, in UAE, and here I'm not sure, but packaging without the plastic. So you would have all the cardboard, but without the plastic, and they made it actually a commercial argument. Saying because people were not used to see a gift box without the plastic thing, so they were saying, oh, but there's something missing, and they were saying, no, but it's good for the environment, and they completely shifted the storytelling around, and it worked.
Amazing, thank you.
Even for Baccarat, for example, when I was handling it, before you had the cardboard, and then you have the wrapping paper and the ribbon, etc. And then they decided to cut off the wrapping paper completely, because the box is beautiful anyway. So they just put the ribbon around the box and saved tons of wrapping paper. So of course we are in constant discussion with them.
Thank you, Florence. That's a good tip. Changing the narrative and
making
the more simple option, the more
everything can be shifted around.
Yeah, the more desirable and the more chic and more elegant.
Yeah,
so, yeah, less
simplicity.
waste. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you found that as inspiring as I did. Thank you, Florence.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
We'll have a quick break before we return when Imran is taking the stage. I'm getting a break. And speaking to some of Kuwait's most exciting up-and-coming designers. So please be back here. I'm going to quickly check my schedule. And see, please could you be back here in about 10 minutes' time? 4:30 would be wonderful. Thank you all so much.